The impossible mission. The emergency sirens wailed across Luna Station as Captain Marcus Vale rushed down the metallic corridors toward the command center. His weathered hands gripped the mission briefing tablet, knuckles white with tension. At 45, Marcus had seen his share of diplomatic crises, but nothing like this. 3 massive alien ships had appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system just 6 hours ago. Each vessel stretched over 20 kilometers in length, their dark hulls bristling with weapons that could reduce entire planets to ash. They called themselves the Zephyrian Armada, and their message had been crystal clear: submit or be destroyed. Marcus burst through the command center doors where Admiral Hendricks stood before a wall of screens showing the alien fleet. The old Admiral's face was grim as he turned to greet the diplomatic officer. "They're not responding to any of our peace offerings," Hendricks said without preamble. 27 hours until their deadline expires. After that, they begin orbital bombardment of Earth. Marcus studied the massive alien ships on the main display. Their design was unlike anything in human records. Organic curves mixed with crystalline, structures that seemed to pulse with inner light. "What do we know about them?" "Not much," replied Dr. Jennifer Walsh, the station's xenobiology expert. She was young, barely 30, but her expertise in alien cultures had made her invaluable to Earth's diplomatic corps. Their communication patterns suggest a collective consciousness. They speak with one voice, make decisions as a unified entity. Marcus frowned. A hive mind? Possibly. But there's something else. Jennifer pulled up audio recordings of the alien transmissions. "Listen to the speech patterns. There's a dominant voice underneath the collective, someone or something that seems to guide the others." Admiral Hendricks crossed his arms. "We've tried everything, Marcus. Trade offers, technology exchanges, even promises to evacuate the outer colonies. They want complete submission. Humanity as a servant species under their empire." The weight of 8 billion lives pressed down on Marcus's shoulders. He'd spent his entire career preventing wars, finding peaceful solutions where others saw only conflict. But this felt different. These aliens weren't interested in negotiation. "There has to be something," Marcus muttered, pacing before the screens. "Every species has motivations, fears, desires. We just need to find theirs." "Sir," interrupted Lieutenant Torres from the communication station, "we're receiving another transmission from the alien fleet." The main screen flickered, and suddenly, they were looking at something that made Marcus's blood run cold. The alien speaker was enormous, easily 3 meters tall, with 4 arms ending in razor-sharp claws. Its head was elongated, crowned with bone ridges, and its eyes glowed with an unsettling purple light. Behind it, dozens of similar creatures stood in perfect formation. When it spoke, its voice was accompanied by a chorus of thousands of others, creating an eerie harmony that seemed to vibrate through the station's hull. "Humans of the 3rd planet," the creature announced. "I am Supreme Overlord Vexithera of the Zephyrian Armada. Your time grows short. Prepare your surrender protocols, or face annihilation." Marcus stepped forward. "This is Captain Marcus Vale, Earth's diplomatic representative. Surely we can find a peaceful resolution to this conflict." The alien's glowing eyes fixed on him through the screen. "There is no conflict, human. There is only submission or death. Your species will serve the Zephyrian Empire, or it will cease to exist." "What do you want from us?" Marcus pressed. "Resources? Territory? We can negotiate." "We want your obedience," Vexithara interrupted. "Nothing more, nothing less. You will become part of our collective. Your worlds will feed our expansion. Your people will serve our greater purpose." The transmission cut abruptly, leaving the command center in tense silence. Admiral Hendricks slammed his fist on the console. Bastards won't even listen to reason. Dr. Walsh was studying her tablet intently. "Marcus, I think I found something. The way Vexithera spoke. Did you notice how the other aliens responded?" Marcus replayed the conversation in his mind. "They moved when he moved, spoke when he spoke." "Exactly. This isn't just a hive mind. It's a hierarchical system with Vexithara at the top. If we could somehow reach him directly without the collective influence, Impossible, Admiral Hendricks said. Their flagship is surrounded by escort vessels. We couldn't get a diplomatic shuttle within 1,000 kilometers. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, his mind racing through possibilities. Finally, he looked up with determination burning in his eyes. What if we didn't use a shuttle? What are you thinking? Jennifer asked. Single-person stealth pod. Minimal energy signature, designed to look like space debris. If I could get aboard, their flagship? Absolutely not, Hendricks interrupted. That's suicide, Marcus. Even if you made it aboard, you'd be one human against thousands of hostile aliens. Sometimes one person can make all the difference, Marcus replied quietly. Besides, what's our alternative? Wait for them to start bombing Earth? Dr. Walsh leaned forward eagerly. It could work. If the Zephyrians truly operate as a collective, they might not expect individual initiative. Their whole society seems built on group thinking. Lieutenant Torres looked up from his station. Sir, we're detecting massive energy buildup in the alien fleet. They're charging their weapons. Admiral Hendricks cursed under his breath. 26 hours and 43 minutes until deadline. Marcus made his decision. Prep the stealth pod. I'm going aboard that flagship. Marcus, this is insane, Hendricks protested. You'll be walking into the heart of an alien war machine with nothing but your wits and a prayer. Then I'd better make them count, Marcus replied with a grim smile. Dr. Walsh, I need everything you can give me about Zephyrian psychology, social structure, anything that might help me understand how to communicate with them. Jennifer nodded enthusiastically. I'll compile everything we have, but Marcus, remember, if this is truly a hive mind, individual concepts like mercy or compassion might not translate. Then I'll have to find something that does, Marcus said, heading for the door. Prep the pod for launch in 2 hours, and Admiral? Hendricks looked up. Yes? If I don't make it back, make sure humanity goes down fighting. 2 hours later, Marcus sealed himself into the cramped stealth pod, barely, larger than an old Earth coffin. The pod's systems were designed for one thing, getting past enemy sensors undetected. It had no weapons, minimal life support, and communication equipment that could barely reach across a solar system. As Luna Station's launch bay opened to the void of space, Marcus thought about his daughter back on Earth. She was studying xenobiology, like Dr. Walsh, dreaming of a future where humans explored the galaxy in peace. If he failed, she might never get that chance. The pod's engines fired silently, pushing him toward the massive alien flagship. Through the tiny viewport, Marcus could see the Zephyrian vessels growing larger, their alien architecture becoming more detailed and somehow more threatening. Unknown contact approaching, came a transmission in that eerie collective voice. Identify yourself or be destroyed. Marcus held his breath as the pod's stealth systems engaged. For several agonizing minutes he drifted closer to the flagship, expecting at any moment to be vaporized by alien weapons. But the scanners saw only a piece of debris, harmless and insignificant. The flagship's hull stretched endlessly before him, a maze of organic curves and crystalline growths. Marcus spotted what looked like a docking bay and carefully maneuvered the pod inside. The bay was enormous, filled with smaller alien craft that looked like living creatures more than machines. The pod touched down. Marcus checked his equipment one final time. He wore a standard diplomatic suit with built-in translation software and emergency beacon. Hidden in his jacket was a small recording device. If he didn't survive, at least Earth would have some intelligence about their enemies. The pod's hatch hissed open and Marcus stepped into the alien environment. The air was thick and humid with a sweet smell that made his head dizzy. Strange lights pulsed along the walls in patterns that seemed almost hypnotic. Marcus Vale, one human among thousands of hostile aliens, began walking deeper into the ship that would determine the fate of his entire species. Behind him, the pod's emergency beacon counted down the hours until Earth's destruction. Ahead lay the impossible task of convincing a hive mind to spare humanity. The fate of 8 billion people rested on his shoulders as he disappeared into the alien corridors, searching for Supreme Overlord Vexithara, and hoping that somewhere, in the collective consciousness of the Zephyrian Armada, he could find something resembling mercy. Into the heart of darkness, Marcus moved through the alien corridors like a ghost, his diplomatic training keeping him alert to every sound and shadow. The Zephyrian ship was unlike anything human engineers had ever conceived. The walls seemed to breathe, pulsing with bioluminescent veins that carried some kind of energy throughout the vessel. The floor beneath his feet felt warm and slightly soft, as if he were walking through the belly of some massive creature. Every few minutes, groups of Zephyrian soldiers would march past in perfect formation. Marcus pressed himself against the curved walls, grateful for the dim lighting that helped conceal his presence. The aliens moved with mechanical precision, their four arms swinging in identical rhythm, their glowing purple eyes staring straight ahead without any sign of individual awareness. Dr. Walsh had been right about the collective consciousness. These weren't individuals making independent choices. They were extensions of a single vast intelligence that controlled every movement, every thought, every action across the entire fleet. After an hour of careful navigation, Marcus found himself in what appeared to be a central hub. Multiple corridors branched off in different directions and the ceiling soared high above, disappearing into shadows. Strange symbols covered the walls, glowing and shifting in patterns that hurt his eyes to look at directly. In the center of the chamber stood something that made Marcus's blood run cold. It was a massive organic structure, part plant and part machine, with thousands of thin tendrils extending from its core into the walls, floor, and ceiling. The tendrils pulsed with the same purple light as the alien's eyes, and Marcus realized he was looking at the ship's brain, the central nervous system that connected every Zephyrian aboard to their collective consciousness. Fascinating, isn't it? A voice said behind him. Marcus spun around, his heart hammering, but saw no one. The voice had been different from the collective chorus he'd heard before. Individual, almost conversational. "You can hear me, human," the voice continued, seeming to come from the walls themselves. "Your primitive brain cannot process our neural network directly, but the translation matrix in your suit allows limited communication." "Who are you?" Marcus asked quietly, not wanting to alert any nearby guards. "I am the voice of Vexithara, the fragment of the Supreme Overlord's consciousness that monitors this sector of the ship. You are Captain Marcus Vale of the Human Diplomatic Corps. Your infiltration was detected the moment you entered our docking bay." Marcus felt his stomach drop. "Then why haven't you captured me?" "Because Vexithara is curious. In 10,000 years of expansion across the galaxy, no species has ever attempted such a foolish act. One individual, alone and unarmed, seeking to challenge an entire armada. It defies all logical behavior patterns." The bioluminescent patterns on the walls shifted, and suddenly Marcus could see images forming in the light. Scenes of other worlds, other species that had faced the Zephyrian armada. He watched in horror as planet after planet fell, their populations either destroyed or absorbed into the collective consciousness. "Behold the fate of those who resist," the voice continued. "The Krillians fought us with plasma cannons that could melt asteroids. The Nexari built fortress worlds that withstood siege for decades. The ethereal collective possessed mental powers that could shatter minds across light years. All fell before the unity of Zephyrian purpose." Marcus studied the images, his diplomatic mind analyzing what he saw. "But some of those species, they're still alive in your fleet, aren't they? Absorbed but not killed. Perceptive. Yes, the useful ones serve the collective. Their knowledge, their abilities, their biological advantages become part of our greater whole. Individual identity is eliminated, but their essence contributes to Zephyrian strength. And that's what you want to do to humanity? It is what will be done to humanity," the voice corrected. "Your species shows promise. Your adaptability, your creativity, your unpredictable nature. These traits will enhance the collective once your rebellious individuality is properly suppressed." Marcus began walking deeper into the chamber, studying the massive neural hub. "What if I told you there was another way? What if humanity could contribute to your goals without losing our individuality?" The lights on the walls flickered, and for a moment the voice was silent. "Explain. Every species you've absorbed was conquered by force. You broke their will and made them slaves. But what if you had willing partners instead? allies who chose to work with you because they saw mutual benefit. The collective requires unity of purpose. Individual desires create chaos, inefficiency, conflict. Marcus stopped directly beside the neural hub, close enough to touch its pulsing surface. Does it? Look at human history. Our greatest achievements came not from conformity, but from individuals with different ideas working together toward common goals. We built spaceships because dreamers imagined flight and engineers made it reality. We cure diseases because researchers shared discoveries across different specialties. Human chaos has also created wars, suffering, environmental destruction. True, Marcus admitted. But it's also created art, music, literature, scientific breakthroughs that benefit everyone. We learn from our mistakes because individuals can see problems that the group might miss. The neural hub's pulsing intensified, and Marcus felt a strange tingling in his mind, as if something vast and alien was brushing against his thoughts. Vexithara wishes to meet with you directly, the voice announced. You will be escorted to the Supreme Command Chamber. And then? Then you will learn why individuality is a weakness that must be eliminated. The chamber filled with Zephyrian soldiers, their movements perfectly synchronized as they surrounded Marcus. Unlike before, they made no aggressive moves, simply formed an honor guard that began marching toward one of the larger corridors. As they walked, Marcus noticed something curious. The further they went into the ship's core, the more elaborate the decorations became. What had started as purely functional corridors gave way to chambers filled with artwork, sculptures, and displays that seemed to serve no practical purpose. This is different, Marcus commented to his escort. These are the private chambers of Vexithara, one of the soldiers replied, speaking with the collective voice. Here, the Supreme Overlord contemplates the beauty collected from 1,000 conquered worlds. They passed through a hall lined with incredible artifacts, crystalline formations that sang in harmonic frequencies, paintings that seemed to move and change as Marcus watched, sculptures carved from materials that shifted color with the light. It was a museum of galactic civilization, preserved by the very force that had destroyed the cultures that created them. Beautiful, isn't it? The voice of Vexithara spoke again. Each piece represents the finest achievement of a species that no longer exists as individuals. Their artistic vision lives on, perfected by collective judgment. But who created these? Marcus asked. The collective or the individuals you absorbed? The soldiers around him stopped abruptly, and Marcus sensed he had asked something significant. The voice was silent for several moments before responding. The individuals created. The collective preserves. Then you need us, Marcus said with growing excitement. You need individual creativity to generate new beauty, new ideas, new possibilities. Without independent minds, you're just a museum curator, preserving the past, but unable to create the future. The escort resumed their march, but Marcus could feel a tension in the air that hadn't been there before. His words had struck something in the collective consciousness, a doubt or uncertainty that rippled through their perfect unity. Finally, they reached massive doors that towered above them, covered in intricate carvings that seemed to tell the story of the Zephyrian expansion across the galaxy. The doors opened silently, revealing a chamber so vast that Marcus couldn't see the far walls in the dim lighting. At the center of the space, on a throne carved from what looked like crystallized starlight, sat Supreme Overlord Vexithara. The alien was even more imposing in person, nearly 4 meters tall with ceremonial armor that incorporated living elements that moved and shifted across its surface. Its 4 arms each held a different artifact, and its elongated head was crowned with a neural interface that connected directly to the ship's consciousness network. Captain Marcus Vale, Vexithara spoke, and this time the voice came from the alien itself rather than the collective chorus. You have traveled far to meet your death. Marcus walked forward until he stood at the base of the throne, looking up at the being that held Earth's fate in its hands. I've come to offer you something better than death, Supreme Overlord. I've come to offer you life. Vexithara leaned forward, its glowing eyes fixed on the human. Explain. You've conquered 1,000 worlds, absorbed 1 million species, built an empire that spans the galaxy. But what have you created? What new beauty, what new ideas, what new possibilities have emerged from your collective? We have brought order to chaos, unity to discord, purpose to meaningless existence. You've brought stagnation, Marcus countered boldly. Look around you. Every beautiful thing in this chamber was created by individuals with independent thoughts, personal dreams, unique perspectives. Your collective can preserve and maintain, but it cannot innovate, it cannot grow, it cannot truly live. The aliens. Eyes blazed brighter, and Marcus felt the weight of its attention like a physical force. You suggest that chaos is superior to order? I suggest that growth requires both. Order provides stability, but chaos provides change. Collective thinking ensures efficiency, but individual thinking provides creativity. Humanity offers you something you've never had before, willing partners who can help you not just expand your empire, but evolve it into something greater. Vexithara stood slowly, its massive form casting shadows across the chamber. And what would humanity demand in return for this partnership? Marcus took a deep breath, knowing that his next words would determine the fate of his species. Freedom, to remain individuals while working toward common goals. The right to maintain our cultures, our diversity, our independent thoughts, not as chaos to be suppressed, but as resources to be valued. Impossible. The collective cannot tolerate dissent. Then, the collective will never grow beyond what it is today, Marcus replied. You'll continue expanding, preserving, maintaining, but never creating anything truly new. Is that the legacy you want for the Zephyrian Empire? For the first time since the conversation began, Vexithara was silent. The neural interface on its head pulsed rapidly, and Marcus could sense vast discussions occurring across the collective consciousness as billions of minds considered his proposal. Finally, the Supreme Overlord spoke. You will be given an opportunity to prove your theory, human. If individuality truly has value, you will demonstrate it under controlled conditions. If you fail, your species will be absorbed into the collective. If you succeed, Vexithara paused, as if the very concept was difficult to process. Then perhaps new arrangements might be considered. What kind of demonstration? Marcus asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. Vexithara's alien features shifted into what might have been a smile. Trial by combat, human. You will face our greatest champions in the arena of dominance. If your individual creativity and adaptability can overcome our collective perfection, we will negotiate. If not, Earth burns in 22 hours. Marcus nodded grimly. He had gained precious time and a slim chance at survival, but now he would have to back up his words with action. In the alien arena, one human would stand against the collective might of the Zephyrian Empire, with the fate of his entire species hanging in the balance.